All right, so I found a really good question on Reddit. It has like a 222 positive ups. I'm not even sure if that's what it's called, but does caloric expenditure decrease over time as the body adapts to a specific exercise, and if so, by how much? It's a great question, and it's interesting because I have a lot of experience, no like scientific data. I haven't read any studies or anything like that. But I am kind of anal retentive with logging food, or I used to be at least. And I used to weigh and measure my bread, and I would weigh myself every day, and I would keep a little graph. And man, I was OCD with all this stuff. I have on and off throughout the years. I'm a trainer. I'm a fitness nerd, and that's kind of why I turned into a deadlift nerd, or kind of in the powerlifting, because I just got tired of the whole counting calories and nutrition stuff. It was just driving me nuts, especially when I have a family now. So the question is, for argument's sake, let's say a person who is new to running would burn 100 calories for every 10 minutes ran. Over time, would their caloric expenditure decrease as their body adapts to running? And if so, by how much? Understanding things like potential weight loss or gain in muscle impacting expenditure, as well as the body requiring less energy to maintain your bodily functions. How much could this really be decreasing by? Well, the unfortunate problem with this question, the user is Nutu Shabi. Okay, anyways, probably read that wrong. The problem with this question is that it's really hard to prove if you're in a scientific realm, because a lot of studies most of the time are really based on, they're on a caloric expenditure machine. I forgot what you call that thing, but there's a gold standard for tracking calories. And man, I forgot what it's called. But anyways, they hook you up. It's basically measures your oxygen, and they'll measure you on a bike and stuff like that. The problem is that you got all this stuff on you, and that's not something you normally do in real life. Like, so you basically couldn't really do this outside. So everything's mostly estimated. And if anyone watching this video knows of any sources, please feel free to link them in the comments, because I'd be interested to read them. But the only evidence I have is my experience and what I've seen with not just my body, but also with clients that I've trained. People getting stuck eating 1,200 calories. People getting stuck eating 1,500 calories. That kind of thing. So the first time, let's just use this hypothetical example, and kind of what the question this person is asking is, if you start to, say, run on the treadmill for 10 minutes and you burn 100 calories. If you do this every day for a month, or as you do this each day, will you start to burn less and less calories? And the answer is yes, you will burn less calories, theoretically, because your body will get better at moving more efficiently. However, the thing that will happen is you'll get better at pushing yourself, because you'll be pushing yourself, so you'll be able to burn more calories in that 10 minutes. So that's another variable. So how hard you push yourself in 10 minutes. So if you run for 10 minutes, you might run 10 minutes at 6 miles per hour, you might run 10 minutes at 5 miles per hour. It's going to have a different expenditure. Also, the other thing to consider is it's called EPOC, exercise post oxygen consumption, also known as afterburn effect. You may have seen like other fitness products that have been sort of almost in a misleading way talk about afterburn, and it's true. When you work out really hard, you'll get a high afterburn effect, typically after resistance training, almost always after resistance training, and seldom after cardio. And it tends to be very exercise specific, and there are, again, a lot of little different variables. Like if you push yourself super hard on weight training, you're going to have a little bit different effect than if you push yourself on cardio, or if you lifted heavy versus lifted like high reps with moderate weight. You're going to have a lot of different expenditure issues. In the actual exercise or physical activity itself, you're going to always burn the most calories. I guess we should clear this up. It's basically running or jump rope. And the reason why is because you're continuously moving. There's no way to beat that. If you're stepping on a consistent basis for 10 minutes, you're physically moving. And within that time period, you're moving more, you're burning more calories. Now, when you're weight training, typically you'll do a few exercises and then you'll rest. You'll do a few exercises, then you'll rest. So typically there's a little bit less movement. If you're just comparing movement. Of course, when you're doing weight training, you're burning more calories, but the problem is because you're moving more when you're doing cardio, like the elliptical trainer or treadmill or running outside, you're going to typically burn a little bit more calories, unless you're doing like a sort of a CrossFit WOD or some sort of exercise, really, really fast pace where you're non-stopping, something really, really intense. And if you keep moving, you're pretty much going to get a similar effect that's almost equal to running. And when you do something intense like a CrossFit WOD or something like that, or a circuit of exercises, and you push really hard, you're going to have typically a higher afterburn effect that will be similar to like sprinting really, really hard intervals during a 10-minute period. So if you sprint and then jog, sprint, walk, you're going to have a similar effect. It all depends on the intensity level. Now, going on a tangent, let me just read this question again. How much could this really be decreasing by? Man, it's a really tough question to answer. All we really know, and this is my experience, all I really know, is that your body will get adjusted and burn less calories. Actually, a lot of the time, the reason why people lose a lot of weight is because they're doing like almost nothing. So they start exercising every day. So they're essentially having this huge boost and change. And when their body changes that much or has a kind of a big abrupt change in activity, physical activity, you're going to have a lot higher afterburn effect. You're going to have a higher exercise post-oxygen consumption. And then after about 2-3 weeks, that epoch goes away and you're not going to have that. So hypothetically, if you work out for an hour, let's say you burn 400 calories, right? You might have another elevated metabolism for another 200 or 300 calories after each and every single workout for the course of 2 or 3 weeks. So instead of burning just the 400 calories, you also burn another 2 or 3, let's say 300. So you burn 700 calories for the actual workout plus the 300 calories after the workout. So what will end up happening is let's just make it simple math and make it really, really simple. 700 calories each workout because of that situation. Then after 3 weeks or after you adapt, what will happen is that adaptation phase will completely go away. You will not have an afterburn effect because your body will completely adjust to the movement. It's sort of like, I don't know if you ever learned to ride a bike for the first time or even learn how to drive. It requires more calories. It requires more thought. A lot of things require more energy and more attention because you're doing it for the very first time or for the first few times. And then after a while, I'll just use driving as an example. You can text and drive, and you can talk on the phone, and you can look in the glove compartment. You can do a bunch of stuff you shouldn't be doing that's completely illegal when you drive that you couldn't do when you first started because you have adapted. You're able to kind of essentially multitask and are more efficient with your use of energy or use of your nervous system, in this case, driving with your brain. And it works the same way with the muscles. So if you're doing cardio, same thing. Or you're doing exercise. Now, how much is it going to decrease by? There really is no real world method unless you like live in a lab for like forever or for a certain period of time. There really is no way to measure it, unfortunately. All you really need to know is that it will decrease. And there's no way around that. Sure, you can change things up a little bit and you can push yourself harder, but it will continue to decrease. Your body will get adjusted. You'll get more efficient. This is the reason why you don't want to do a lot of long cardio, because your body will become very efficient at burning calories, meaning you'll burn less calories. You'll get more mileage. You become like a Prius. As great as that sounds, because you're more fuel efficient, the problem is you're not burning as much gas. And when that happens, the benefits of kind of like trying to burn off like your turkey dinner or something like that, or your or your pizza that you ate or some bad food is going to be less because you're in better shape. This is kind of why people who train for marathons, not everybody, but most people, will have a tendency to have a weight rebound because their body metabolism slows down, and that's just what happens. I want to see if there's anything else I can address on this question. The only real way you can measure this, and I'll end with this, is just weighing yourself every day or every few days, and then you track your calories meticulously, ounces and inches, and I mean just like meticulously, meticulous. And then you track your calories, right? You find out what your maintenance calories is. Let's just, in this example, we'll just say your maintenance is 2,000, right? And then you want to lose weight. So you eat maybe 1,500 to have a 500 calorie deficit. And then you work out every day. That's worth, anywhere from 300 to 800 calories a day. And then that's the only way you're going to be able to track it. You can only really track that you're adapting through a broad sense of things. And in practical application, it just means your weight is stalling, your weight loss is stalling. And everyone stalls on weight loss when they're trying to cut weight, whether it be from diet, exercise, or a combination of both. Of course, it's usually everything combined. And then you just have to kind of keep going through and making efforts to work through that plateau, through that sticking point. And eventually it really does break. It just takes a while. You have to be very disciplined. The one thing to consider when it comes to figuring out how many calories you burn in a day is weight. Your weight, height, and age. Actually, weight and your height weight, height, and age usually have the most dramatic effect on how your calorie expenditure for the 24 hours is determined, on top of how much physical activity you do. Because if you're a heavier person, think about that. If you move more and you're heavier, you're going to burn more calories. So I don't know if this video is any help for this person. Hopefully someone gets something out of it. Just understand that your body will get adjusted to something. If you do nothing right now and you go do a bunch of stuff, cardio, CrossFit, aerobic class, because you're doing nothing, you're going to get a huge adaptation effect. You're going to burn a lot of calories. Then over time, what will happen is your body's ability to burn calories your body will start to become more and more efficient, more like a Prius. You come in like a gas guzzling dually truck, and then as you keep working out, you start to move towards becoming a Prius. That's the reason why you want to spend more time doing weight training, because your body becomes more inefficient doing weight training. Because if you increase the weight and you do more reps and you do more volume, you're going to get more caloric expenditure. Whereas with too much cardio, not to say that you don't need to do cardio, but when you do lots and lots of cardio, what will end up happening is your cardio will start to diminish, or you become more efficient. So what you burned at 60 minutes, what you burn at 30 minutes of cardio, you're going to have to do 45 minutes of cardio on, and sometimes 60 minutes. Anyways, I hope you take this conceptually. Hope it helps.